Star Wars 7x7 episode 2375. I'm wrapping up our look back and look ahead with a look at quote unquote everything else happening in the world of Star Wars storytelling, and I will explain exactly what that means in just a second. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So when we do the monthly previews, the ones that happen on right around the 1st or 2nd of every month, we talk about 10 different categories of things that relate to Star Wars storytelling, which include movies and live action series and animation, books, audiobooks, comics, virtual reality, video games, experiential stuff, and merchandise. So far we've done previews of the first 5. We've talked about movies, live action, animation, books, and audiobooks. And so now we're going to lump the other 5 for 2020 and 2021 into this particular episode. So it'll go pretty quick. Now, 2020 obviously was a tumultuous and challenging year on so many levels. And in particular related to this episode and our discussion of Star Wars content, the comic side of the house was the one that was probably, at least as far as we know, affected the most, because there was a period of time where comics were just not being published, and Marvel made a point of not doing digital publishing because they didn't want to do any damage to the brick and mortar comic book shops, which was a wonderful thing. And now they are ramped back up in production. They are creating the physical comics and the release schedule is on track. It looks like it would look like in any quote unquote normal year. And at this point, it looks like the ongoing series are still going to be the same ones that are, that were started last year and are continuing this year, which would be the flagship Star Wars title, now taking place in between Empire and Jedi. And then, of course, the Series 3 Darth Vader, the Dr. Aphra Series 2, and this Bounty Hunter series that's going on. And then, of course, there will be, limited series here and there, and Star Wars Adventures is doing its thing for the younger comic book readers. Also, the High Republic, as we've mentioned previously, will happen. There are going to be 2 different High Republic comics. One of them is kicking off in January. That's the main High Republic series by Kevin Scott. And later on this year, the High Republic Adventures, which is being scripted by Daniel Jose Older, will be coming out as well. I don't think we have a date for that one just yet, but hopefully soon. On the virtual reality side of things, there hasn't been anything announced so far, and yet, I wouldn't be surprised to hear about another VR title coming out in 2021. And the reason why I say that is because they got the 3 installments of Vader Immortal released in 2019, and then suddenly and surprisingly they came out with the Tales from the Galaxy's Edge title in 2020. And I'm saying suddenly and surprisingly because it was just bang announced and it was there and it was amazing and surprising. So we didn't necessarily get the sort of rumors and rumblings and that sort of thing leading up to an official announcement, is why it was surprising. And so I'm saying that I think it would be in line with what they've done to come out with another title. They're really making it seem easy. Then on the video game front, and this is just talking about console games, I mean, who knows what'll happen with the mobile games. That's a whole other animal entirely. But Star Wars Squadrons was supposed to be released as is, and it turned out, surprise, it wasn't. So in 2020, when it was released, it only had 4 particular starfighters on the Rebellion/New Republic side and 4 starfighters on the Empire side. But then, of course, they released the update that added the B-Wing and the TIE Defender into it, and they did other updates as well, which was really exciting. And I don't know if they're going to add more. They might, make little tweaks here and there. They might add, some value-added elements, basically, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be massively expanding the story or the offer of the game, which is perfectly fine. That's, it is what they announced, and everybody does seem to enjoy it very much. So the question now becomes, will there be a release in 2021, or are we going to be waiting until 2022? I have not seen any rumblings about a 2021 thing. There was something that was apparently in the works, and then there was a closing of a studio, and there was some drama around that, and I'm honestly not totally up on it. So, I don't know. But I do know that EA's contract with Star Wars is supposed to go through into 2023. And so I can't imagine a world where they wouldn't release at least one more title in the realm of Star Wars. And with Rogue Squadron being the next movie, you might have guessed that it would be a Starfighter one, except for the fact that we just released Star Wars Squadrons, or they just released. So it doesn't seem like that's where they would go necessarily. There's been talk about a potential sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and wouldn't that be wonderful as well? So I think we have a lot to learn on the video game side, and I do think we're going to hear something announced. It won't necessarily be coming out in 2021, but I think we will finally learn what the next thing is going to be sometime later this year. On the experiential side, meaning the things where you actually go out into the world and experience stuff, I think the biggest thing that's hopefully going to happen, hopefully, fingers crossed, in 2021 is the reopening of Disneyland and California Adventure out in California, which means the reopening of Galaxy's Edge out there. Back in November on an investor call, the folks at Disney said that they did not expect Disneyland and California Adventure to reopen until the end of their first fiscal quarter, which is actually December of 2020. So here we are now in 2021, and it still looks like that is continuing. So I think ultimately this is going to be part of the flattening of the curve once again, and the delivery of an effective vaccine to enough people to make that a possibility. So there's a lot of hope and a lot of waiting that has to happen before that is going to ultimately happen. Probably, I'll say, summer of 2021. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Just knowing that things in California can get to a safe enough place where something like that is possible would be tremendous. And the last category is merchandise, which, when we talk about merchandise on the show, really it's about what it reveals about Star Wars storytelling. And I have to say that as far as merchandise goes for, any particular Star Wars property, there's not really a lot of storytelling stuff that I think we can look forward to. I mean, maybe we'll have some sort of Mando Mondays or Fett Fridays or something leading up to the release of the Book of Boba Fett or of Mandalorian Season 3, and maybe some of those releases would tell us a little bit more about characters and situations in those shows. Maybe, just maybe, because of all the concept work that went into the development of the High Republic Media Initiative, maybe they would consider doing merchandise around that stuff as well, and maybe we will learn more about the High Republic and the characters and situations from that. But honestly, on a storytelling perspective, I don't see a heck of a lot happening in 2021 in that regard. Just general cool stuff coming out, basically, and that's about it. And that is actually about it as well for the look back and the look forward at Star Wars storytelling in all these different categories for 2020 and looking ahead to 2021. And that is going to do it for today's show as well. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.